Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. Dear students, today we are going to discuss about metals and non-metals. This topic is for the students of class 10th as well as for the students of class 8th. Dear students, there are more than 114 elements known at present. All these elements have been classified into different ways depending on their similarities and dissimilarities in their properties. But one of the most important classification of these elements is that they have been broadly classified into two main groups, that's metals and non-metals. First of all, we will define what are metals. Dear students, metals are those elements which lose electrons and gain positive charge. Metals are those elements which lose electrons and gain positive charge. For example, sodium, magnesium, aluminum, all these elements, they lose electrons and gain positive charge. They are known as metals. Now, non-metals. Non-metals are those elements which gain electrons and acquire negative charge are called non-metals. Those elements which gain electrons and acquire negative charge are called non-metals. This is one of the definition of metals and non-metals. Now the question arises here, why these elements lose or gain electrons? Dear students, everything in this universe wants to become stable. Just like we humans, we want to become stable by acquiring good education, by obtaining good jobs. Same is the case with these elements. They also want to become stable. They also want to have stable electronic configuration. In order to understand this, let's take the example of sodium chloride. Dear students, sodium is a metal and chlorine is a non-metal. Dear students, the atomic number of sodium is 11 and the atomic number of chlorine is 17. Electronic configuration of sodium is 281 and electronic configuration of chlorine is 287. That means this sodium, it has 1 electron in its outermost shell and the chlorine, it has 7 electrons in its outermost shell. In order to acquire stable electronic configuration, this sodium, it loses this 1 electron and acquire positive charge. And this electron, it gives this electron to chlorine so that its lost shall have 8 electrons and it acquires negative charge. So the element which loses electrons or acquire positive charge, they are called metals, and the elements which receive these electrons, in order to have stable electronic configuration, they acquire negative charge, they are called non-metal. So dear students, elements which lose electrons acquire positive charge, they are called metals, and the elements which gain these electrons in order to acquire negative charge, they are called non-metals. This is one of the definition of metals and non-metals. We can also define these metals and non-metals like this. The elements which have 1, 2 or 3 electrons in outermost shells, they are called metals, except hydrogen. Dear students, the elements which have 1, 2 or 3 electrons in their outermost shells, they are called metals, except hydrogen. And the elements which have 4 to 8 electrons in their outermost shells, they are called non-metals, except hydrogen. Dear students, as I have already told you that more than 114 elements have been discovered so far. Out of these elements, only 22 elements are non-metals. Out of these 22 non-metals, one element is in liquid form, one non-metal, that's bromine. 10 are in solid form, and 11 are in gaseous form, like hydrogen, nitrogen, chlorine. Solid form, there are phosphorus, carbon, sulfur, and the one liquid non-metal, that is bromine. This is all about the definition of metals and non-metals. So now we can write the properties of metals, physical properties of metals and non-metals. Here students, we have learned that what are metals and what are non-metals. We have defined metals and non-metals. Now we will discuss about the physical properties of metals and non-metals. First property of metal is that these metals, they are malleable. Property of metals that they are malleable. It means that these metals, they can be drawn into thin sheets. These metals, when beaten by the hammer, they can be drawn into thin sheets. So this property that metals can be drawn into thin sheets, this property is known as malleability. Metals are malleable, like gold, silver, aluminum. These non-metals, they are not malleable. Non-metals are not malleable, but they are brittle. That means when we strike these metals with a hammer, they break, they are brittle. They cannot be drawn into thin sheets. This is the first property of metals, physical property of metals, that is metals are malleable, they can be drawn into thin sheets. Non-metals are not malleable, that means they cannot be drawn into thin sheets, they are brittle. Number second, metals are ductile. That means ductile means these metals can be stretched, or I can say these metals can be drawn into thin wires. Ductile means metals can be drawn into thin wires. That means we can stretch these metals into thin wires. The most ductile metal is gold, silver. 1 gram of gold can be stretched, can be drawn into 2 kilometer long wire. Metals or ductile means that these metals, they can be drawn into wires, they can be stretched into wires. Non-metals are not ductile. They do not possess the property of ductility. That means non-metals cannot be drawn into wires. Dear students, I have told you that metals are malleable, that means they can be drawn into thin sheets, but there are exceptions, except mercury. Mercury is a metal, but it cannot be drawn into thin sheets. Now, the third property of metals is that metals are good conductors of heat and electricity. It means that heat and electricity can pass through metals. If you put one end of a metallic rod into hot water, the other end will get heated. It shows that heat passes through these metals. Electricity can also pass through these metals. The best conductor of heat and electricity among metals is silver. Silver is the best conductor of heat and electricity among metals. And the poorest conductor of heat among metals is lead. So dear students, these metals, they are good conductors of heat and electricity. It means that heat and electricity can pass through these metals. Among metals, the best conductor of heat is silver, and the poorest conductor of heat among metals is lead. These non-metals, they are bad conductors of heat and electricity. Bad conductors of heat and electricity. That means heat and electricity cannot pass through these non-metals. There are exceptions, except carbon. Carbon is a non-metal. Carbon in the form of graphite. In the form of graphite. Though these non-metals, they are bad conductors of heat and electricity, except carbon in the form of graphite. Now, another physical property of metals is that metals have luster. That means these metals, they are shiny. They can be polished, except lead. This lead, it is a metal, but it has dull appearance. Metals, they have luster, they have shiny surfaces, they can be polished, but there are exceptions, except lead. Lead is a metal, but it has dull appearance. These non-metals, they do not have luster. Non-metals do not have luster. That means these non-metals, they do not have shiny surfaces, except iodine. There are exceptions. One non-metal, that's iodine, it has luster. Iodine is a non-metal, but it has luster. Number fifth property is that these metals, they are solids at room temperature. Metals or solids at room temperature. Except mercury. Mercury is a metal, but it is in a liquid state. Mercury and gallium. Gallium is also a metal, but it's also in a liquid state. Except these two metals, all the metals exist in solid state. Non-metals, number fifth property, non-metals may be solids, liquids and gases. For example, solid non-metal is carbon, sulfur, phosphorus. Liquid non-metal is bromine. Gaseous non-metal is Hydrogen, nitrogen, etc. Good non-metals can exist in all the three forms. That is, they can exist in the solid state as well as liquid state and gaseous state. Among solids, carbon is in solid form, sulfur is in solid form, phosphorus is in solid form, and the only non-metal which is in liquid form, that's bromine, and gaseous non-metals are hydrogen, nitrogen, fluorine, chlorine. They are all in gaseous state. Now the sixth physical property of metals is that metals are generally hard. Metals are generally hard, except sodium and potassium. Except sodium and potassium, all metals, they are generally hard. These sodium, potassium, they are soft metals. Non-metals are generally soft. Non-metals are generally soft except diamond in the form of carbon. Diamond in the form of carbon is very hard. Now another property of another physical property of metals is that metals have high melting and boiling points. Metals have high melting and boiling points except sodium and potassium. There are strong metallic bonds between these metals, so they have high melting and boiling points. These non-metals, they have low melting and boiling points. Low melting and boiling points. Because there is weak van der Waals force of attraction between these non-metals, so their melting and boiling points are very low, except diamond in the form of carbon. Another property of metals, physical property of metals, is these metals, they are sonorous. Metals are sonorous. It means that when we strike these metals, they produce sound. Metals are sonorous. That means when we strike these metals, they produce sound. In our schools, there are school bells. When we strike these bells, they produce sound. But these bells, they are made up of iron. Iron is a metal. Metals are sonorous. When we strike these metals, they produce sound. These non-metals, they are non-sonorous. That means non-metals do not produce sound when they are struck with other objects. When we strike non-metals, they do not produce sound. It means that non-metals are non-sonorous. Dear students, it was all about metals and non-metals. What are metals? What are non-metals? What are their physical properties? I hope you have understood it fully. Thank you.